Hi, welcome back to Winning Moves. We have been learning the movement of pieces, the arrangement of board, and we have begun to start playing chess. In this episode, we will be learning more concepts in chess. What is the center? How we should develop? How we should play the game of chess more interestingly, more logically. Shall we see? When we talk about the center, now these four squares, this is E and this is the fourth rank. So this is E4, E5, D4, D5. These four squares are called as a center. Now what is so interesting about the center? When you play chess, you should understand this is king side. King, bishop, knight and rook, and this half is known as king side. And the rest of the other half, this is known as the queen side. So chessboard is divided into two sides, king side and the queen side. Now these are two armies fighting with each other. So a soldier or a horse or a bishop or can go from one side, and whereas you really know whether he is coming from this side or he is going to come from the other side. So if you control the center, imagine there are two armies fighting and somebody stands in the center and he keep controlling. What happens? His pieces will have more mobility, whereas the opponent pieces will not be able to move. So these four squares are very, very important, and these four squares are called as center in chess. Now when you move a pawn, you will move towards, when you start moving a pawn, you will move towards the center. And when you move towards the center, you watch this, you capture one place of the center. You are also attacking another point in the center. Now when you especially play E4, you are also letting your bishops come out. This move is also very good because out of the four center squares, you are capturing one point and also attacking another point. Similarly, when black is playing, he will also try to occupy one point of the center and go attack the rest of the center. So center plays a very important role because once this comes in, knight here and the knight here, you watch here. Now this point is controlled, being attacked. This point is attacked, and even you move the bishop, you will also move towards the center here or here. All the bishops comes out, more bishops are an open diagonal. So center is very, very important concept. Imagine a moves like this when a pawn is pushed to E4 and black plays a knight here. E simply relinquishes the center. Now white moves the pawn again. He again moves the knight here. See here, because black has not occupied the center, white can push the pawn up. The knight has to move. Now this concept is called as tempo. When you attack your piece, he has to respond to that. So this is called as a tempo. This knight gets back again. Now this causes lack in development. All your pieces should come out rapidly to play chess. Why? When chess is like a war game and two armies are fighting, all your pieces should come out quickly and take their place. So the concept of center is very, very important. So if you do not control the center, then the knight, all the pieces will go back and there will be lack of mobility in your pieces. The concept of center is so important that you will find all the openings are revolving around the center. Watch this. If white plays E4, if he plays E5, this will lead you into two knights defense, the Geico piano defense, the four knights defense, all these comes under. The point is I occupy and stop him from proceeding. This is E5. Straightforward, absolutely straightforward. Now watch here again. If he plays E6, now which point of center is he attacking? He is coming for D5 square. He is strengthening D5. So this is called as French defense. Now here, this knight is also okay, because it provokes a slightly different strategy. Here we are talking about attacking one point. This is called as Alekhine defense. Now if he plays c5, again you see the d4 point is under attack. So this is called as Sicilian defense. If you play c6, you are attacking d5 point. So this is called as Caracal defense. Now if you place d6, now this is modern defense or Perk defense. Now so all the lines that generally opened up are attacking one of the 4 squares. So similarly for white also, there are so many lines with d4 lines, and there are slightly different lines with c4. This is called as English defense. And there are also have moves like knight f3. So you don't, when you start a game, you don't start with a4. Why? You should occupy the center and you should develop all your pieces towards the center. If you go on only one side, it's very easy. The opponent will come on the other side and finish you off. So moves like a4 and moves like h4 should not be played in the beginning of the game. Similarly, g4 and b4 should also not be played. So what we see, you should definitely move the pawn in front of the king or in front of the queen and move the pawns. Look at the knight. And let's have a look at the knight. When the knight is here, if it moves to h3, from here it will only go attack 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. But if the knight is in a corner of the board, it can go only to 2 squares. So this knight also, if it's in f3, it can go to 8 squares. So knights, all your pieces should be moved towards the center. Whether it's a knight or whether it's your bishop or whether it's your rook, and pawn should control the center. The center, imagine there's a big bridge between 2 armies. And the fellow who controls, the army which controls the bridge will definitely command tremendous potential to win. Why? He will have more space advantage, he will have more mobility, all his pieces will be able to happily go from here and there, there will be real good space, and the other opponent will be restricted, there will be no mobility of his pieces, all his pieces will stay inside and it will be difficult to win. As we have seen in the game of chess, there are 3 phases: the opening, the middle game and the end game. In the opening, we are looking at how to develop all our pieces. Now herein we have seen the center. The only piece that generally does not stay in the center is the king, because the center is the place where there's going to be a lot of activity, and the whole idea of the game is to checkmate the king. So you should try to move the king away in a safe and in a castled position. So you should not keep the king in the center. Now we're also seeing, like in India, Delhi is the center. The very, very important place is Delhi. So you will find so much of activity, so many things happening. This is a very, very important place where you should always watch. So in chess also, the most important squares are e4, d4, e5 and d5, these 4 squares. And these squares from f3 to f6, c6 and c3. This whole thing is called as extended set. Now let's look at how do you develop your pieces. In chess, the person who rapidly develops, who brings out his piece fast into the best squares, are the fellow who will generally win. Why? If 2 armies are fighting, imagine 2 armies are fighting, and one person gets up slowly and walks towards his either aeroplane or a ship, what will happen? The other fellow would have already taken his position. So since it's a war game, quick, fast action. As soon as the war siren is gone, everybody will get into their place. Similarly, in chess also, all the pieces should occupy their places fast. So what we do, we don't just keep moving one pawn here and another pawn here. Chess is not played like that. You should watch that in case I play d4, d5, I bring out all my pieces. I bring my knight here, I bring the bishop here, I try to bring all my pieces out and then get my pieces to the squares possible. So, rapid development, bringing all your pieces out is very, very important. If you do not bring your piece out, that will be very, very difficult to win the game. Let's see a game which works for this. Every move counts when you play chess. Watch this game. E4 and black plays E5. So far very good. Now white attacks the pawn E5. Now black should play knight C6 because it's bringing one more piece, supporting the center and also attacking the center squares. But in case he plays D6, this is not bad, but definitely not right because this bishop is not coming out. Activity of this bishop is restricted. So, but in case he plays the queen up, you see here a major piece is trying to support a pawn. This is not right. And not only the bishop will also have traffic jam and it will not be able to come out. But just in case black just doesn't think and he plays f6, this is one move mistake. What will white do? White will take this pawn. He is giving away his knight. Knight is 3 points and pawn is just one point. Takes the knight. Now can you see the move? The queen comes up and gives a check. Look here, this is a check here. Now there are two moves that can be played, either g6 or king e7. If he plays g6, white will take this pawn, check, and this is called as double attack. He will also attacking the rook and the king, and when the king is supported, a white queen will go and capture the rook. So to avoid this, if black plays up, and if he thinks, okay, let me get away with a single pawn, let's see what happens. The white has developed his pieces and the black is still under attack. He's just moving his king. Now white will come again. All the pieces are coming out with tempo. He's attacking. Check. And just in case he comes here, the king is going for a walk. The king, the most important piece, which should be in its territory, it's coming out for a walk. And white will give a proper treatment for that. Check again. King comes up. Now watch every move of white comes out. He's just moving a pawn, but the bishop is giving a check. The only move. Now this rook will also come into play now, and he plays h4. Watch here, the king is being hunted. Now if black thinks, okay, I will attack this queen, and he plays this move. Check again. This rook is also giving check. This is a double check. King goes here. And the queen finishes off with a checkmate. Now, did you see the game? One single move. He just made one wrong move in the beginning without developing, and it could cost the game. So every move that you play when you play chess is very, very important. Rapid development should bring out your pieces powerfully into the game quickly without wasting time. We have trained thousands of kids in playing chess. Sometimes a parent or a child will come, sir, my son is going to play a tournament. Can you give him some very, very interesting tips? Can you give him some quick tips? Generally, to play the game of chess, it's a long procedure. You should learn correctly. But many times people will come and say, can you give some simple, quick moves so that he can survive in the tournament? Okay, now these are the very important tips that you are watching. If you would follow the concepts, the small tips basic tips to play the game of chess, definitely you'll be able to survive for a very long time, even if you play a chess tournament. What have we seen? We have seen the concept of center. We have also seen that you should develop all your pieces rapidly, quickly. Now the third question comes, where do I place my pieces? Okay, I know I need to control the center, that's okay. I know that I should bring my pieces out fast, but where I should be, where should I place them? Now that's the most important thing. If you would place all your team members correctly, precisely in their positions, then you will definitely win. So let's see, the pawns should control the center. When you develop the knights, it should also come towards the center. F3 and C3 are the very, very important points for the knight. You should avoid going to H3. The maximum the knight can go can come to E2. But it's F3 are the homes, and C3 are definitely the best squares for the white knight. Similarly, F6 and C6 are the most important squares. When a knight is placed in the center, it can go to 8 squares. Sometimes if you get an outpost like this knight is not here, this knight is not here, and this is called as an outpost. Look at this. What is an outpost? Now this we call this a weak square. Why this is a weak square? No pawn can attack that square. And if a knight will jump inside, it's really having a good time. It's getting into the opponent territory, sitting inside and enjoy watching, controlling, watching what's happening inside. That's a very, very difficult piece to drive out. So when you bring the knights, this is a very, very powerful knight. So each piece becomes more powerful by the place where it is. If you put the pieces powerfully in its position, then you are halfway towards winning. Let's see, if you have a bishop, now generally we have seen that after E4, E5, NF3, NC6. Now where should you move this bishop? Now this bishop should be moved. Very, very good move is BB5. Why? Now this is called as Rilopus. It's immediately attacking the knight. Another good move would be to play BC4, wherein you get all these openings called as Geico piano, 2 knights defense, max lunge attack. So you move the bishop to long diagonals, long open diagonals. The bishops are active, powerful in open diagonals. Imagine if you put the bishop here and then close this pawn here. Look at this bishop. He is enjoying in his home fort. It's like covering your head with a blanket and sleeping inside. Absolutely inactive. His own pieces are making it not to see the daylight. So you should try avoiding keeping your pieces in inactive places. You should move them towards open diagonal so that it can attack the opponent territory. This game teaches us about how you should develop your rook. Look at this game, E4, E5, knight F3, or if white plays E4, E6, D4, D5, ED5, ED5. Now this is the basic French defense. BD3, BD6, knight F3, knight F6, castles, castles. Now look at this position. Now this is a French exchange variation. You should see how you should develop the rook here. Now we are seeing a position which can arrive from a French exchange variation. Now where do you place your rook? Now this rook should be placed in the open file. Look at this. This is an open file. Now this rook coming to this open file will cut the whole board into two. The rook is very, very powerful in open file. Now this rook, in case you have a pawn here, or if the pawn structure is like this rook is not very powerful here. Why? This is a closed file. It really does not matter the rook is here or here, even though it is good to keep it at e1, you find this is a closed file, there is no action at all. But whereas in this position, it makes all the difference to keep the bishop in open file. And whenever an opponent captures an open file, black should immediately remove that open file, control again, and ensure the file is not given to the opponent. So remember, when you place the rook, castle it. It's good to castle. It's also good to keep the rooks connected. If the bishop is like here, it's always good to keep both the rooks connected. You should try and see if all the pieces will come out, connect these rooks, and wherever there is an open file, we should go and capture that open file. Now you might ask a question, what is an open file? Let's have a look at that. Look at this position. Now for white, which is the open file here? Now all these pawns are in second rank, but here there is E file is the open file. Why? There are no pawns for either for white or for black. So E file is the open file. Now what's this? This is a closed file. No point keeping the rook there if you are attacking. Now this is called as a semi-open file. What is semi-open file? You do not have a pawn here, but the opponent has got a pawn. So you try coming to a semi-open file and then start attacking also. So if you are playing white, you can either play here, for which black would come and stop you from entering that open file. It's very, very important that you stop the opponent from entering your territory in the open files. Generally, if you make a wrong move like this, the rooks really swim in the 7th file. It is very, very easy. Once the rook reaches the 7th rank in an open file, it will be happily cutting all your pawns. So you should stop the rook. If you are playing white, you should try and get any open file that you can get, especially the E file. And if your opponent gets the file, you should stop him. So this is an open file here. This is a semi-open file here. And the rest of the files are the closed files for white. Whereas if you are playing black, there are two open files here. One open file here, that's E file is again an open file, and this is a semi-open file. You see that you don't have a pawn. You can still create a lot of tension here, attacking this pawn. By attacking this pawn, watch here, white will have to come and support the pawn here. Now, this rook is become inactive. He is supporting a pawn. I will come up and ensure that this pawn is not attacked at all. Or look here, if I move here, he is attacking two pawns, this pawn and this pawn. This rook cannot support both the pawns. So you see, it's very, very important. Very, very easy. You come to an open file and your opponent becomes inactive. You will try to support the weak pawns. Enter in, you will be able to win one pawn and then slowly win the game. So always place your rooks in open files or in semi-open files. Never give away a file, a clean open file for your opponent, because once you give your opponent an open file, you will come into that open file, enter the territory and start creating trouble. The bishop should be in open diagonals. Do not keep your bishops in closed diagonals. Then we have seen the rooks should be in open files or in semi-open files. Now the very, very interesting piece is the queen. The most active piece in the chessboard is the queen. So where should you keep your queen? Look at this game. E4, E5, white is a beginner and he moves the bishop. Many times they come for the F7 point. Black plays like here. Now many people either try coming here or here. In the beginning of the game, they bring their queen out, expecting to win the game very, very easily. Now watch this. By coming here, by bringing the queen out, now it looks like it's very, very good. You might even give a checkmate. But black can make two moves. He can either move here, or sometimes he can even give away a pawn like this and begin to attack. But if he moves here, knight f6, now this queen, unless he goes here and attacks his pawn, there is no problem at all. for which we can simply protect like this, and later you can move the knight to a5 and remove the bishop. Watch here, he's brought the queen out and he's trying to attack right from the beginning. Now in case he moves the knight here and bishop comes out, this knight is still struggling to come out. If he moves the pawn up, he will also move the pawn up. Now this bishop will come out with attack at the queen. So this particular way of bringing the queen out is not very, very good in the beginning. In the beginning, you should avoid bringing your queen out. Watch this game again, one more game where we find that he brings the queen here, attacking this pawn. I move the pawn up. Keep on attacking, and this queen is under attack, is virtually lost the game. If you bring your queen out early in the game, it's a big major piece. It's like a treasure. You don't bring it out that easily. If you leave the queen, bring out early in the game, every small piece will start attacking the queen. The queen should always start running. So, like you put treasure inside the almirah, the queen should always be in your own territory in the start of the game. So much of activity is going on, so you keep it in a safe place in the beginning. Later on, when the attack is really there, you jump into action and the queen goes like an eagle for the kill. So, place your queens in your own territory in the beginning of the game. The most important decision, where should I keep the king? Some people keep the king in the center of the board and they start playing the game. See, the center, keeping the king in the center is like keeping the king on like standing on the main road. If you stand on the main road, definitely, you don't stand on the main road, do you? Definitely all the vehicles will hit you. Similarly, keeping the king in the center of the board and fighting is not the right thing. Whenever you start a simple game, you ensure that you quickly develop all your pieces, all the pieces that are there outside the board, and then go for castling. Now, we will see more of the rules of castling in the later episodes. Now, here you should ensure that the king should make this interesting move of castling, and the king should be safe in the castle position. Castling is like having the king inside the fortress. You will take all the care how you will keep the king. The most important piece, play it carefully, ensure the king is safe in the castle position. Chess is a team game. We have been looking at how to play, how to start, the basic tips in the game of chess. We have seen in this episode that when you start to play the game of chess, understand the concept of the center. You should always try and occupy the center squares and try and bring all your pieces towards the center. The second thing that we saw in this episode is you should bring all your pieces rapidly, like a war game. Ensure that every piece is active. Jump into the right squares. And the third thing we've been looking at, keeping all your pieces in the most efficient squares. Placing them in the right squares is very, very important. This is a team game. See, all your team members are in the best place. Now, imagine you have a pilot, and will the pilot come and take care of a rickshaw? Will the pilot take care of an auto? No, you ensure the pilot is in the plane. When the war is there, a captain quickly runs into the ship. Similarly, you should ensure that all your pieces are doing the work what it is meant to be. Sometimes when I see a game, a pawn is under attack and a queen is guarding the pawn all the time. Earlier we saw the rook was guarding the pawn. Rook can do a lot more things than guarding a pawn. So you should, when you make your pawn structure, ensure that you do not create weak pawns. If a big person is all the time, big piece, queen is all the time taking care of a pawn, that will be difficult. So you should ensure that all your pieces are placed properly, and especially the king. The most important thing in the game is the king. So ensure king safety. Put them in the castle position. If you would control the center, develop all your pieces rapidly, and ensure that all your pieces are kept correctly, then you are halfway. If you begin right, then you're halfway towards win. Let me just ask you a question. How are you using all your resources? How are you using all your talents? If you will put to maximum efficiency, the efficiency is the key word in the winning moves. If all your team members are efficiently placed, if you're positioned carefully, and if they're doing the right job, then you always make the winning moves. So this is Ebenezer saying bye from Winning Moves. By being efficient, you will always make the winning moves.